when
I'm
we were teenagers, the biggest movies in the world. This is a time in your life when you should be hanging out with friends and going to the movies.
Cristine was painting her nails alone.
What do you know about the Lord of the Rings, Cristine? Can you tell me anything about the Lord of the Rings?
Smeagol.
Okay, so you know something.
Smeagol,
So
my precious Smeagol.
Yeah, that kind of broke through. So there's a character in it, a little goblin dude.
Yeah.
What do you know? I don't
He
want
was
to.
ugly, but he was beautiful.
Is that what you think the
So,
purpose of that character
I have
was?
two memories of The Lord of the Rings. The first is in grade 10 drama class, we had to do a monologue, and we had to pick a character who did a monologue in a movie. And I Googled, like, who the hell, what the fuck? Who's done a monologue? And Smeagol from The Lord of the Rings came up. I never seen The Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
But I watched that scene thinking, this is a great monologue for this drama project, which I remember they filmed. And I wish I had that footage, but like...
Your drama teacher filmed
Yeah.
you doing the scene.
Well, they filmed everyone who did a
Okay.
monologue, but I remember it being filmed, and I wish I had the footage, but it's probably destroyed on VHS somewhere. But yeah, I had to memorize the lines and put your own spin on it. So I think like you had to choose what music track was playing in the background. And I dressed up in like a torn up, weird, like dirty outfit because I guess the whole point was he's like this dirty guy in the rocks in the mountains. Like I don't really remember, but I'd never seen the full movie. I just studied that part really hard to try and memorize the monologue.
Okay, so you've seen that scene of the movie, but have
Yeah.
no understanding of the context or significance of it?
So the only other context I know around that is for the same class, that teacher brought us on a field trip to see the Lord of the Rings, one of the movies. Because there's more than one movie, right?
There were three of them, yeah.
I don't know which one it was.
Oh, yeah.
It was the one that never ended. You know how like the screen always went to black?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I distinctly remember this because we went on a class field trip and the screen went to black and then it just kept going. And the entire audience was like, oh my God. And then it went to black and you thought it was over there and like, oh my God. And it was just like everyone in the audience was just yelling.
So you saw the last movie, The Return of the King. Do you remember anything about it?
I mean, I was with a class of grade 10 students, so we weren't paying attention.
Also, that is a terrible thing. Like,
Yeah.
I appreciate like the teachers trying to be cool and take a bunch of teenagers to a movie, but for anyone else in that theater,
It was terrible.
it's like the most unfair thing.
Oh yeah, it was terrible, and no one was paying attention because any class that's taken on a field trip, at least in my experience, it was like, thank God we're out of school. Like I'm not gonna pay attention. I'm just gonna fuck around with my friends. That's how it was when I was a teenager.
Okay, so do you remember anything about the story?
There were elves,
Okay.
and there was like a lot of mountains, and then the guy with the beard, and he had a cane, and Frodo.
Okay, you know the name Frodo and Smeagol.
And
Hey, maybe you know more
and the
than you're
rings.
letting on.
The rings.
How many
the
rings?
lords.
Do you remember how many rings there were?
1,
Yeah.
4.
Okay. Let me
There's 4 outie rings.
let me give you a brief synopsis of The Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
And maybe you'll actually want to watch it again and actually pay attention this time.
I paid attention to Smeagol's monologue. My precious.
Yeah.
That's all.
Played by Andy Serkis, really famous, like the first good example of like motion capture technology. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
The monologue, I think you must be talking about. There's a famous scene where he's talking to himself.
Yeah.
It was that.
Yeah,
right?
he like
Okay.
talks back and forth to himself.
It's like a split
he's-
personality type thing.
Yeah, it was really fascinating to recreate that.
Okay. So The Lord of the Rings is about these little people. We're going to call them hobbits. They're not important. Nothing important ever happens to them. They just drink. They eat breakfast a lot.
Oats.
They get drunk. Well, not just oats. They have first breakfast, second breakfast. They eat a lot of breakfast.
Second breakfast.
But they're tiny people who are unimportant.
Aw.
Do you remember the show Little People, Big World on TLC?
Yeah. What are you saying?
So that show taught me that, these little people, the medical term is dwarfism, I think.
Okay.
And you can't say the M word. That's the offensive one.
Yeah.
But basically, these hobbits are basically like little people. And the whole moral of The Lord of the Rings is very much the same as Little People, Big World. It's that this world might not be made for these little people, but little people are capable of big things.
Okay. So do they win?
So,
Is there a
so
war?
these little people are just hanging out in this little village in New Zealand, and Frodo is our protagonist,
Is he
right?
little?
He's one of these little people.
Okay.
And, he doesn't know the world outside of his little hometown. Okay? But his uncle, Bilbo,
Bilbo? That's
he
his name?
wandered out of town a few years back
To the big people.
in the story The Hobbit. And he met up with some dwarves and this wizard. And he ended up in a big room full of treasure with a dragon. And he found a ring, a really powerful ring that made him turn invisible. He got away and he kept it.
Was it hollow?
It was not holographic, no. But years later, Bilbo's back in the Shire hanging out with his nephew. They're hanging out
What's a Shire?
in their little community. And Bilbo is just being mysterious and he just disappears. And we're like, what's going on? Bilbo's gone.
Did Thanos snap
But
his fingers?
this isn't a Marvel movie. But he leaves the ring with his nephew, Frodo, okay? So sometime later, this wizard shows up and he goes, hey, dude, that ring?
It's mine.
That's a pretty important ring. That ring belonged or has a lot of power to it. And there's some big evil dude out in the middle of the other side of Middle Earth, on the other side of the globe, who's looking for that ring. And if he gets that ring, he's
gonna
going to
take it to the
kill
pawn
everybody.
shop.
Yeah, he's going to sell it.
It's going to be on Pawn Kings.
So they have to set out. Frodo brings some little friends along with him, Sam and two other ones that are less important. And they team up with the wizard, and they go and meet some elves and dwarves, and they form the Fellowship of the Ring.
I've heard that term.
Yeah, because that's the name of the first book or movie.
Did they sell merch rings? And that's why like everyone had those fellowship rings?
Fellowship
I
ring?
remember that in high school. People like had the
Friendship
rings.
rings?
No, like fellowship rings.
What does that mean?
They all had like symbols or writing on the inside.
Weren't those purity rings? Like you were like, I'm saving myself?
No, that's on Girl Defined.
Anyway, so they form a fellowship. And their plan is that they have to take the ring to a volcano. And they have to throw it in the volcano and destroy the ring so the big bad guy can't
Why
get it.
so dramatic? Like there's other ways to destroy a ring.
Well, if that's what you're asking questions about, you should really be asking, why are they sending these little people to destroy the ring?
Because they don't care about the little people.
Maybe it's because the ring chose the little people.
Why?
Who knows? Some things are beyond explanation.
So what was Smeagol's role in all this?
All right, so we're going to meet Smeagol soon. So little guys are trekking off, trying to find the mountain with the much more powerful heroes, the elves and the dwarves, and some guy who's the son of a king. And
The Lord.
the Lord of the Kings. So they get split up. So most of the movies are like two timelines or two separate paths, right? You got like our more traditional heroes who are trying to fight the evil forces and the army of orcs, and the second movie is mostly just a big battle scene. But you have Frodo and Sam, these two little people, they have the ring. They're trying to get to the bad place and throw the ring in the volcano. But they meet up with that little golem dude, Smeagol.
Smeagol.
Yeah, looks like a goblin type guy, you know? He talks to himself. He
Yeah.
really wants that ring because it used to be his.
Well, what the fuck then?
Before,
Give it back.
before Uncle Bilbo got it, he had it before him. Bilbo
Well, that's
took it
rude.
from him, and that's why it's his.
So it's Smeagol's ring.
Well, I think the ring previously belonged to the evil Lord Saruman and was forged in the fires of something, and it's the one ring to rule the entire world.
It's the biggest ring of the world.
So Smeagol wants this ring, but he tells these hobbit dudes that he's just going to help them find the volcano, throw it in. But, they get there. They get to the volcano. Let's skip ahead a bit.
Okay.
They get to the volcano.
I'm already lost.
The humans are fighting the orcs. They're maybe going to lose. It's a big battle. Most of these movies are just people fighting.
Yeah.
And you have Frodo. He's got to the volcano and he's about to throw the ring in, but the ring has corrupted him. It's taken over. He can't bring himself to throw the ring and destroy it.
It's like YouTube money.
He wants the power of the ring. He can't let go of it. It's
Got to his
consumed
head.
him. But Smeagol, also chilling around, he's there too. And he's like, yeah, you want that ring? I want that ring. I've wanted that ring my whole life.
Give me that ring back.
So he tries to get the ring. He bites his finger off. right?
What?
Yeah, he bites his finger off and he gets the ring. But as he gets it, he falls
Into the volcano.
into the volcano,
So he dies.
destroying the ring.
And himself.
Yes.
And then what happens? Happy ending?
And then we're all happy. And then the only thing you remembered about the movie,
Smeagol.
it ending 10 different times. Yeah, it's really hilarious. The third movie, The Return of the King, has like 5 different endings where it fades to black and you think it's over, but then it's not over.
Why did they do that?
I guess in the book, there's like 100 pages like after this.
So they just couldn't pick.
Like they return to the Shire, and I think there's like a little mini storyline about how they, the Shire, their hometown has been like taken over by some loser humans who are are not treating the little people very well.
So humans are bad in this series?
No, not all humans. But the point was like these hobbits come back home and become like heroes and leaders in their community.
So what's the takeaway message we're supposed to understand?
Just like I said, the
Lord of
same
Rings?
one as Little People, Big World. That little people are capable of doing big things.
And you should sacrifice your rings in the volcano? I'm trying to connect that to something meaningful.
Well, the funny thing is, like, after they're at the volcano, like, these big birds, the wizard died somewhere along the way, by the way. Mm-hmm. But he comes back without an explanation.
Well, he's magic, so
Well, but the only difference is his clothes are, he used to be wear gray clothes, and then he comes back and his clothes are white.
He's older.
Yes.
You get white hair.
Anyway, but like they get saved from the volcano by like these birds.
Okay.
These big birds swoop in and carry them away. And I'm sitting there like, why didn't the birds take them to the volcano?
Why didn't the bird save Smeagol?
We spent 3 movies watching these people walk to a volcano.
And how much money did these movies make at the box office?
Oh, like a stupid amount of money.
Wasn't it one of the like all-time biggest grossing movie series of?
Absolutely. And it's done a lot for like New Zealand tourism, which is where they filmed it. I think they left the set of the Shire there for people to go visit the tiny homes
cool.
for the tiny people. All right, has anything I just told you made you want to watch this movie?
Not really. And that doesn't mean to dismiss your accounting of the movie. I just like, it sounds like an action movie that has some allegories and metaphors in it. That
not really.
No? Okay, well.
I was really reaching there.
It's about like, kingdom and people and wars between groups and who's doing the right thing and who's right and what's wrong. And I don't know. That's all. It all bores me.
Well, you're just not into like medieval fantasy type stuff too,
I think
right?
that's my other thing. Unless it's realistic, I'm not interested.